What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to share with you 3 envelopes that I recently got back in the mail. So let me just get right into these. And the first one is postmarked from Ohio. And this is going to be a theme video, I believe. And the return is from former running back of the Cleveland Browns, Cleo Miller, on 1, 2, a third, and a fourth. And these were the only cards that I had of him, so that's why I sent the duplicates. So let me tell you about Cleo Miller. Cleophus Miller was born in Arkansas, where he attended high school, then later attended Arkansas Pine Bluff University. He signed as a free agent with the Kansas City Chiefs after not being taken in the 1974 draft. He played well his rookie year, rushing for 186 yards on 40 carries and catching 14 passes for 149 yards. Midway through his second season, Miller was traded to the Cleveland Browns and finished the 1975 season with only 13 carries. Miller earned a starting role in the Browns' backfield for the 1976 season, a job he would hold through 1979. In 1976, his first full year with the Browns, he ran for 613 yards and 4 touchdowns as a fullback, blocking for Greg Pruitt. The Browns finished the season with a 9-5 record but failed to make the playoffs that year. In 77, Miller had the best season of his career. He rushed for 756 yards on 163 carries, career highs in both categories, and scored 4 touchdowns. He also set record highs with 41 receptions for his career. After starting 9 games and rushing for 336 yards in 78, Miller was relegated to a backup role for the remainder of his career. In 1980, Miller was part of the Browns team that won the division title. He served in a reserve role that year for 28 carries and 139 yards. That 1980s Browns team was called the Kardiac Kids, and we're going to share a couple more returns from a couple members of that team in this video. In Miller's final NFL season, he appeared in only 5 games during the strike-shortened 1982 season. After the 82 season, he signed on with the USFL, the now-defunct United States Football League, playing for the Michigan Panthers. As fullback, Miller ran for 374 yards and helped the Panthers win the 83 USFL championship. In 1984, Miller returned to the Panthers that finished the year 10-8. After that 1984 season, Miller retired from playing football. His NFL career, he rushed for 2,492 yards with 16 touchdowns. He also caught 140 passes with 1,175 yards and 1 touchdown. In 1988, Miller succeeded Mason Hargrave as the President General of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, or the UNIA. I am not sure if Miller is still in that position, but I would assume that he's still involved with that organization. So I'm very happy to add Cleophus Miller to my collection, and we're going to jump into the next one and go from there. Alright, so this next one is postmarked from California, and it is a return from another member of the Kardiac Kids, defensive tackle Jerry Sherk, on 1, 2, and a third team card. And I'm not sure about the status of the other 3 guys on this card, but I noticed that Jerry was on this, so I sent it. I actually sent a 4th card as well, because I typically send 4 cards to my requests, and he decided to keep one, which is perfectly fine. I honestly cannot remember if it was just another one of these or a different card, but regardless, I got 3 of 3 back. So let me tell you about Jerry Sherk and his career in the NFL. Standing at 6'4", 250 pounds, the defensive tackle Jerry Sherk, defensive end and nose tackle. He also played a little bit in his career as well, but mainly as a defensive tackle, as indicated on the card there. Grew up in Oregon. However, he attended Oklahoma State University and was selected by the Cleveland Browns in the 2nd round of the 1970 NFL Draft. He became a starting player immediately and soon became noted as having a knack for getting to the quarterback. He was part of the 72 Browns team that went 10-4, that eventually would lose to the undefeated Miami Dolphins that year. Sherk led the Browns in sacks that year with 10.5 and led the team's defensive linemen in tackles with 91. The following year, Sherk played in his first Pro Bowl after sacking opposing quarterbacks 5.5 times and making 100 tackles. In 74, Sherk made the Pro Bowl for the second time, leading the Browns with 10 sacks and 94 tackles. In the following year, in 75, he would make his third straight Pro Bowl and have a career-high 100 tackles that season. In 1976, Sherk recorded 12 sacks and 92 tackles and was named the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year for the 1976 season. Going into the 77 season, Sherk injured himself while in practice and missed some time during the 77 season. He came back in 1978 and actually broke his tackle record with 105 that season. In 1979, however, he again found himself on the injury list when a staph infection, of all things, messed up his playing season. He missed the last 6 games of the 79 season and effectively was sidelined for the entire 1980 season. He came back in 1981, but was not the same player and was effectively only used as a pass rusher during certain plays and was limited to only 12 tackles and 3 sacks that year. So over his entire career, he totaled 864 tackles and 69.5 sacks for his career as a defensive tackle. His career lasted 11 years in the NFL, and he appeared in 147 games during that time period. Now here's the interesting thing about Sherk after his playing career. He actually went back to college and got his master's degree in counseling psychology, and he became a career as a professional counselor. Well, also as a side thing, in addition to his counseling career after playing in NFL, he also was a sports photographer where he had images of his work featured in Sports Illustrated and Pro Magazine. So after his NFL career, he moved on to a different career in psychology counseling and sports photography, which is pretty neat. So thank you, Mr. Sherk, for adding those to my collection. All right, so this final one is actually also postmarked from Ohio, and this individual wrote his name out on the envelope. So this is another member of the Kardiac Kids Cleveland Browns team, and this is former middle linebacker Dick Bam Bam Ambrose on 4 trading cards. And Dick Ambrose is considered one of the best Cleveland Browns players of all time. So let me tell you about Dick Ambrose and his career with the Cleveland Browns. Ambrose played college football at the University of Virginia and earned all ACC honors during his junior and seasons with the team. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Education from Virginia. In the 1975 draft, he was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 12th round. Not expecting much from Ambrose, who only stood at 6 foot as a middle linebacker, he stepped in as an injury replacement during his rookie season and never relinquished the position. He would spend 1975 through 1983 being an integral part of the Cleveland Browns organization, appearing in 116 games during his career with the Browns. He gained his nickname Bam Bam, of course the Flintstones reference, for his hard-nosed tackling and physical skills on the football field. Very popular with the fans. He, as I mentioned, was part of the Kardiac Kids, along with Jerry Sherk. And the neat thing about Ambrose is talking about his career in football, the Cleveland Plain Dealer ranked Ambrose on the 100 all-time greats Cleveland Browns team. And the neat thing about Ambrose is after his playing career, he went back to college, graduating from a local university, Cleveland Marshall College of Law, and became an attorney. Well, after he spent some time working as an attorney, he became a presiding trial judge in the greater Cleveland area. So very neat that this individual went back to college after playing in the NFL as long as he did, the success that he had, and he brought that to, being an attorney and a judge eventually, which I don't know if he's retired from being a judge. Maybe he's still, a judge. I'm not really sure on that. But, in the case of all three of these individuals, I think it's very, very neat. Jerry Sherk, and of course, Cleophus Brown, or Cleo Brown. I think it's very neat in the fact that all three of these individuals, after their successful NFL careers, which, many people now would give their left arm to have a career like these guys in the NFL, they didn't make their living playing in the NFL. And that should tell you something about what these guys actually were paid. All three of these individuals had to go on to second careers after the retirement from football, after the hard-nosed, tearing up their bodies, sacrificing their bodies for very little pay. Players now can retire from the NFL and, hopefully, if they're good with their money, not have to go back and not have to have a second career. So very happy to add all three of these to my collection. I hope you enjoyed the vintage football returns and you learned a little bit something about these great, great men outside of football. And I look forward to your comments below. And as always, happy collecting.